The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
When your locker room is experiencing some issues, you know what the solution is? Bringing in Evander Kane. What the hell is going on in Vancouver?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, I'm Trevor Beggs. I'm joined by Kyle Bhawan. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. Bit of a bonus episode here, as we wanted to give some quick thoughts on the Evander Kane trade to the Vancouver Canucks. You probably know by now, but Evander Kane and his full salary at $5.152 million next season has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for a 2025 fifth-round pick, which originally belonged to the Ottawa Senators. Ironically, that was the pick the Vancouver Canucks acquired when they sent Vasily Podkolzin to the Edmonton Oilers. But honestly, what the hell is Vancouver management thinking? We'll try to get into some of the good about Evander Kane, but there's a lot of bad, and there's definitely some ugly with this transaction for the Vancouver Canucks, who have now got $7 million of cap space, which we'll touch on more later, and in our longer episode later today. But Kyle, I know for you, a bit of a sleep in this morning, but you had a rude awakening when you woke up to the news about Evander Kane and joining the Vancouver Canucks.
It just came out of nowhere. And why are we helping the Oilers out, man? That's my biggest thing. We talked about it, a week and a half ago. I said no team in the Pacific Division should go out of their way, even if it's gonna make their team slightly better, to go help out the Oilers and alleviate their cap space and allow them to get closer and closer to getting a goalie. Right? I know it already sounds like mission impossible to scare Connor McDavid away from there, because they've been to 2 straight Cup finals. If they don't face a quote-unquote dynasty, they're winning a Stanley Cup. Like, more likely than not, he's staying there. But what if they were in cap hell like they were before the Evander Kane trade? Right? Like, why is any team trying to help out, especially a team in the Pacific, the Oilers Bucks? It makes absolutely no sense. And for Evander Kane, it's like, you know, you hear all the things about the you don't want a diva in the room anymore, you want to change the culture and all this jazz. I think people are scared of bringing Evander Kane here because of that. But I will say this, it's only for 1 year. Right now, it's only for 1 year. It's going to be pretty hard for him to be that quote-unquote cancerous-like player if he's only here for 12 months. The Canucks need to replace Brock Besser. The market is thin. Is this better than handing out like a 6-year deal to like another winger? How did this happen? I don't know. Remember how we talked about Rutherford and Alvin doing the unthinkable? This is literally the unthinkable. Nobody had this on their radar.
Well, Kyle, you talked about no team in the Pacific should be helping out the Edmonton Oilers, and specifically the Vancouver Canucks should not be helping out the Edmonton Oilers. Again, the team that basically ended the Vancouver Canucks 13 months ago. The Vancouver Canucks have not been the same hockey team since, and here we go, giving them Vasily Podkolzin because we wanted to sign Dan Dunheinen. Now taking Evander Kane off their books when, could you sign Pius Suter to the same contract? I think so. And who would you rather have on this hockey team, Pius Suter or Evander Kane? I mean, 2 very different hockey players, but, you know, man, oh man, this is a head-scratching move, and it feels like just Canucks luck, right? This management team has gone from smart and savvy, from the great pro scouting moves, unearthing these gems, building up atmosphere. That's great and all. But this management team has gone from smart and savvy to desperate and dumb. And desperate and dumb is a very dangerous place to be. Again, Canucks fans don't have to look that far back in time to see what a desperate and dumb general manager looks like. And that was, of course, the Jim Benning era. And look, I'm not going to say that Patrick Allvin is the next Jim Benning, but man, oh man, you look at some of these moves with the past few months. The JT Miller trade, the Marcus Pettersson trade, not trading Brock Besser and Pius Suter. And now this, makes you want to rip your hair out, man. I'm definitely balding after today.
Yeah, dude, this is something else. You should see the top of my head right now. But okay, how desperate is this? How desperate and dumb is this if it's just a 4th-round pick? Like, I think it's more dumb because, but I think it's more dumb only because you help the Oilers out. Like, I just don't like that. I think you're playing with a lot of fire. Straight up, I think it might be a little desperate too, only because they didn't get the Oilers to retain just a bit. I mean, this guy had 87,000 surgeries last year, and the Oilers needed to get rid of his cap hit, right? And Trevor, I'll say this too. Maybe it's dumb. Now you got me thinking. Maybe it's dumb because, if we had, why not just throw a 3rd-round pick in and get Mason Marchment last week, right? Because he goes to Seattle for a 4th and a 3rd.
Yeah, and maybe the Canucks would have had to outbid that just because they're slightly ahead of or slightly behind Seattle in terms of the value of those picks, right? Seattle's the worst team. Those picks are a bit more valuable. But Kyle, to your point, Mason Marchment is a better player. He's cheaper, and he only would have cost, a 3rd-round pick, right? The Canucks maybe could have outbid that by trading that 3rd-round pick that they got from the San Jose Sharks instead. And I think we all would have been pretty happy with that deal, right? With the Evander Kane thing, it's just there's a lot of elements not to like about this trade, right? The fact that this guy is, again, we just dealt with a cancerous locker room. We just heard reports about the Canucks wanting to remove cancerous players from this locker room. And yes, Kane, maybe he's potentially matured since his feud with Dustin Byfuglien, but the amount of legal troubles against him, a lot of the allegations against him, you can go look that up yourself, but they don't paint a pretty picture.
But okay, how cancerous is he I know they have McDavid and Draisaitl, but they made it to 2 straight Cup finals. And yeah, he was invisible in the 4th round, but there's moments in the playoffs. Look over the last 3 years. Like, this guy, I'm not going to go out and say he wins you series, but I feel like there's moments because he's built for the playoffs where he kind of he can win you a game. Now I want to talk about this point. It's like, doesn't this signal to Canucks fans that, because this is a win now move, isn't it? To some extent.
Oh, it's 100% a win now.
The contract. Yeah. Think about what if he does live up to the contract here and he puts up another 30 goals. Now you got to sign this guy for $8 million or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but it's a win now move. So to me, this is signaling that something else is next. And I just literally, I think this is crazy. We just saw out of nowhere this happened. Does that mean Marcus Pettersson is available? Does that mean Kevin Lankinen is available? Because you never know what's going to happen. And I was about to say Thatcher Demko. Is this when the Demko trade is going to go down? Because now the Canucks only have $7 million to make things happen. But how do you trade Thatcher Demko when you just brought Evander Kane into the room? You kind of need Demko's energy in there to balance things out. We talk about the toxic work environment that the Canucks had last year. That has a lot to do with Pettersson and Miller just being absolute divas, absolute brats, absolute selfish players. To do that in a year where Quinn Hughes is doing what he's doing, it's mind-boggling. It's so stupid. It's so immature, not professional. You guys don't want to win, etc. But a big reason why things didn't work out in that room too is, Zadorov wasn't there anymore. And no, it was because Thatcher Demko wasn't playing games. It's one thing for him to be on the ice, but how about him participating in practices, being in the room after practices? Demko is that stoic guy, and if you're bringing Evander Kane into the room, I always look at Quinn Hughes and Demko being the legitimate leaders on this team. And if a goalie trade is happening, and we just saw Kane out of nowhere, bro, I'm telling you, Kevin Lankinen, I don't know, something's telling me something can happen, but something else is going to happen with a goaltender very soon.
Yeah. And I think we'll touch on that, Kyle, more in our episode later today. We'll do a full episode of Locked On Canucks. But I did want to touch a bit on the good about Evander Kane first, because, like we said, there's a lot of reasons to be pessimistic about this deal. Kyle, turn your volume down, buddy. I can hear me backing up here. But, Evander Kane was good for the Edmonton Oilers for the first part of their playoff run this year. 6 goals, 12 points in 21 games. Despite missing an entire season, he came back and early on, at least, looked like he hadn't missed a beat. You look at some of the underlying stats in the playoffs. I see here in the comments, Jack's Evander Kane's biggest fan among our commenters saying Kane is a faster skater than Besser, even at almost 34. Again, look, according to NHL Ed Stats, Kane was pretty much league average, even slightly above in terms of his skating speed, which is a good sign based on the fact that, he had a ton of surgeries leading up to the playoffs, right? Those surgeries included, he had 2 abdominal tears. He had to repair 2 hip abductors, 2 hernias, and they had knee surgery in January as well as he recovered from abdomen surgery. So the dude was covered in tape, more or less, and he still came back and played pretty well in the playoffs. Was a volume shooter in the playoffs. His shots on goal per 60 average was pretty much tops in the league. Goals per 60 was right up there as well. Shooting percentage about league average, but he made up for it by scoring because he shot a ton of pucks on net. So plus, Kyle, like you mentioned, he brings a physical edge. He is one of the nastier players in the NHL, which hopefully will endear himself to Canucks fans. Hopefully we see that on the ice, because as we know, this team really is lacking outside of, Kiefer Sherwood, who, as physical as he is, isn't laying thunderous checks, are really scaring guys. And Dakota Joshua can play that game as well. But we didn't see as much of it last year as he recovered from injuries and cancer himself. So there are things to like about Evander Kane, but Kyle, to the reasons you mentioned, the desperation of this move, the fact that you're helping out the Oilers, the fact that, again, you only have $7 million in cap space now to fill out the rest of your roster, even though you have some pretty other glaring needs, all these things are pretty scary. And it does reek of desperation, and it does remind you a bit of the end of the Jim Benning era.
Whew. Oh, my God, man. Okay, two points off of that, and again, we got to get out of here. Let us know in the comments after this video is posted, like, how you guys really feel about the Evander Kane thing. Because what we'll do around like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock is like, let's get positive about it. I don't know, just like we'll be more in depth. Okay, I'll say this: this is a move that would have looked way sexier if the Canucks made the playoffs this year, even if it was just for 1 or 2 rounds, and we kept JT Miller. Because you don't want, like, Evander Kane being, like, the main physical guy on your team. Like, those days are gone. And look, the Oilers, like, they got smoked by Florida. To some extent, they got smoked. And after Game 3, Evander Kane became a shell of himself. Like, I don't know why. Again, Florida's super intimidating. Like, they're, like, the scariest team to play against. But Evander Kane, after Game 3, after, like, making all those mistakes, or Game 4, was it Game 4? I know they came back. But anyways, he took a couple penalties. I think Curtin Knockenblocker was like, yo, we don't want to play that rough game in your face. We don't play our game, blah, blah, blah. And Evander Kane just turned into a shell of himself, which, like, if he's not hitting out there and being a piece of shit, then I don't want this guy on my team. This trade would make a lot more sense if we had JT, though, because JT and Evander Kane in a long playoff series, then you're talking about, like, a poor man's Kachuk and Bennett type shit. You know what I'm saying? But, again, it scares me thinking that the Canucks made this move, hoping that, like, Kane's going to culturally make us a more physical team. Nah. The guy's made out of Band-Aids right now, and, like, he can't be the A1 guy. Like, he's played Florida twice and hasn't been able to get the job done there. I mean, like, they went to 7 games last year, blah, blah, blah. All in all, though, whatever, man. Like, I'm not going to say I'm over it, but this was probably the most polarizing trade this year, and that's considering we traded JT Miller. No, Evander Kane coming home, Evander Kane on the Oilers, Evander Kane a couple days before free agency, like, he's the main prize. Like, we helped the Oilers out, and, like, no, I'm telling you, I know Canucks Nation is so livid all the time, but I feel like 8% of the fan base is like, yeah, great, good old Canadian kid. Oh, only a 4th round pick. He can skate. He's faster than Besser. Whereas, like, 92% of the team is like, or the fan base is just confused on the messaging from this organization once again. So, what a time, yo. What a time. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments after this video is uploaded. Like, go in depth on your Evander Kane take. We'll be back in a couple hours and we'll go in.
Yeah, and this is the most polarizing trade this season. I mean, man, oh man, it's I think the JT Miller one maybe not as polarizing because A, people expected it, and B, people didn't really like it. The Marcus Pettersson one I would say is polarizing because people like Pettersson, but giving up unprotected. No, now we know it was the 12th overall pick this year. That's a steep cost. But this one, Kyle, like you said, Evander Kane, he does bring stuff to the table. Physical middle 6 winger at this point in his career. Very polarizing player. But again, you go and help out the Edmonton Oilers. That doesn't really feel good as a Vancouver Canucks fan. But if there's one certainty from the trade today, is that the Vancouver Canucks, they're clearly in win now mode. Kyle and I will be back later today on Locked On Canucks. Again, share the episode, like and subscribe, because it's Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day in the home of Evander Kane. What the hell is going on with this hockey team, man?
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.